All right, so this is the assignment number 1 using lesson number 3, the newsletter file. So I'm going to open this document, the document that is provided to you, which is the newsletter document, the 03 and newsletter. And again, this is the end result of the actual lesson. So this is just for visual reference for you. You still have to build it properly. So I'm going to update the modified links because it tells me that things have been slightly out of whack. So this is your final document. This is the end of your lesson. This is what it should look like. It has multiple pages, multiple masters in there, pages that have been shortened and rotated. There's page numbering. There's multiple ways of numbering your document. So as you can see, it's page 1, 2, 3, 4, and I2, I mean, Roman numerals, and then back to 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have to understand that this is the lesson file, and the assignment part is there's an extra few steps to take that are listed under the explore on your own, basically. So I'm going to, hopefully this time it's going to work, create a new document. There it is. So this document right here in the lesson, it actually works in, they're telling you to use picas, which is a print measurement for printing, but nobody knows what picas is. I'm going to stick in inches, but I'm just going to demonstrate quickly. It also shows you that there is a newsletter preset in the blank document presets, but that's a 2018 option, and we don't have it in the 2020 version. So the idea is that document is actually just 8.5 by 11, which is a letter size format. All you have to do to make sure that you're matching the measurements from the lesson is you switch your unit to picas right there. It's 51 by 66 picas. Facing pages is the important part, also the orientation, of course, so we're going to stay with a portrait and not a landscape. Facing pages is, as you can see in your page layout right here on the right-hand side, you have that spine, that long divider in between the two pages, and then your document and your masters have two pages, one left and one right. So make sure that you have that selected. And it also asking you to multiple columns within this document. And as you can see, my master right here has 3 columns. So I believe the lesson is also asking for 3 columns. And it is a 1.1 P0, which is 1 pica 0 for the gutter, which is the space in between the columns. You also have to set your margins and make sure that they're unlinked, because you're going to change the margin. So if I keep this icon turned on, as I change that, every single margin changes. So I don't want that. I want to unlock that and then change my margin to the top margin to 6 P, so which is 6 picas according to the lesson. And then the one at the bottom is, you can just select the one number and then just do it a 3, a 4 like this. You also need to set your bleed, and a bleed mark is that little red little guide outside of your document, as you can see right there around the edges of your document, and it's called a bleed marker. So if you bring a block of color, for example, or an image up to the edge of the paper, the edge of your document, when you print something, you need to bleed it. You need to pass the edge of that paper, and then it gets trimmed off. So when it gets printed, it's perfect. So we're going to add, I think, maybe 3 or so, 5. I'm not sure exactly the measurements. I didn't write them down. And then you can hit the preview. So right here, there's also a slug version, but we're not going to talk about that. And we're going to just do a quick preview. As you can see, this is my document right here. There's only 1 page in the document, so it's asking you for 8 pages. So I missed that right there. So I can go back up here. I add 7 more. 8 pages right there, and there's my preview of my number of pages in my document right here. I can tell my my bleed is just not enough, so I'm just gonna bump it up to, let's say, yeah, that should be good. It doesn't really matter, it's just a bleed, it's not that important, but make sure that you have one, right? So again, number of columns, the gutter, the margins at the top and the bottom. As you can see, the margin at the top is different than the one at the bottom, and then the ones on the sides, which is also on the, it's called the inside and outside, and it's inside of the spine and outside of the spine, meaning inside of the document, inside your pages, and outside as in the left or right edges of your document. So I'm just going to create that, and that is my blank document. It's lovely. It's blank. The first steps within the lesson, again, is to work within your master page. So to switch between your document right here, your pages of your document, your master pages, is you just double click on your master and then you're in there. It's asking you, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, it's asking you to create some guides. So rapidly, a guide is, you have to have your ruler visible at the top and your left edge of your document right here. That way you can click and drag straight from the ruler, and then there's your guide right here, right? So as I, drag it across, there's your line right there, and it allows you and helps you snap elements to it, and it helps you structure your document better. The difference between a guide from Photoshop and Illustrator versus InDesign is the InDesign guide is if you drag your guide within your page, right here, the guide is going to be only within the boundary of the page. Whereas if you drag it across on the pasteboard in the gray area there that I have on the edges of my document, you can see the guide running across both pages. So that's an important part. So I'm just going to select those and then delete them. And a guide is just like any object. As you can see in your control bar right up here, there's nothing in my document. I have nothing selected. But if I click and drag a guide in there, suddenly everything disappears except my measurements that I have up here, which shows me the X and the Y position of my guide. So X being horizontal, Y being vertical. My guide right here, which is selected, is at 4 picas 2.4, which is, I don't know what that is in inches. And then if you switch over and create the vertical guide, you see the measurements is only in the X-axis. And those can be changed. You can literally just go in there, use the arrows to quickly create, to quickly change the specs, or just put a number of your own in there. Right? So this is also those measurements, those X and Y axis. It's also a bit of a calculator. So for example, if you want to do, I have, let's say, perfect. I have it at 2 picas, and I want to create or move my guide at exactly, let's say, 8 picas. I can just go in there, and I can go in there, and I can hit the plus 6p, click enter, and there it is. It's at 8 points. So that those tiny little measurements up here, it's basically like a little bit of a calculator for you that kind of that works in your favor when you're working with fractions of an inch or a number of picas, and you're not sure exactly what 3.2.4 picas means plus 6.75, whatever it is. Just type it in there, and it'll help you figure things out. So again, I'm just going to delete that. So one of the first steps is to create a bunch of guides for the whole for both pages, for the whole document, which is in your master. Again, that's your template. So I want to make sure first I have both pages selected in my master. As you can see, I can select one page or the left or the right page or the other, but not both. So if you click and drag across that, no, it's not working. Press and hold your shift key and select both as well. That works like this as well. So now you have both pages selected, and then when you go into your layout and create guides, that will create guides for both pages. So at this point in the assignment, it's asking you to create 4 rows of guides. So I'm just going to type 4 in there. Again, you can use the little arrows with a certain gutter, and I don't have my preview turned on, so I'm going to turn that on. And as you can see right away, you can see those little blue lines appearing. So I have a gutter in there, which is a one pica gutter, and I don't want any of that. I understand it's a 0. So you have your line, you don't have any gutter, you don't have a double line in there. And you can see the rows or columns. Anything can start from either the margins of the document, which is that pink line right there, or the page right there, the edge of the page. So in this case, I want to have it within the margin. So if I click on that, my lines move, and they're only basically structuring within my margins in there, and it creates an extra little guide matching my margin at the top and the bottom right here. If you have any existing, pre-existing, I should say, guides in that master, you can always hit the remove existing ruler guides, and that will erase the older ones and then recreate whatever you're setting up right here. Part of the assignment is also creating 2 columns in there. So I'm going to go again. One column, it matches the margin. So you can see that there's now a guide right here, right attached to the margin. So that's your 1 column right here. And then if I click 2, there's my second one right here. And again, I have a gutter, and I'm going to put it back to 0. So it's dead on in the middle of my page. And I'm going to click OK. So since we're working in the master page, you can't scroll up and down because this is just your template. You can switch back to your document right here just by double clicking on the page, and by pressing and holding your space bar, you can drag it around, and you can see now every page that I have has all those guides, right? So again, your master page is your template. So quickly in this master, again, we're going to do this very, very quickly. We're going to create a quick little text frame in there in the bottom left corner to create a page number, a page marker. Another thing, actually, it's asking you to create another guide, so it's not right up at the edge right there. So again, clicking and dragging your guide right in the page or outside in the pasteboards, and I'm going to line it up to the 63 brackets right there. And I'm going to create a text frame again. So I'm using my type tool right here. And again, I'm snapping it to my guides right there, so it's perfect and dead on. You can zoom in a little bit more to make sure that things are aligned. You can see, you can zoom in really close. So at this point, I want to have a text frame in there. It's asking me to copy, to type some text in there. So I'm going to switch over to my Chrome browser and into the document there, and then finding the text that it's asking you to put in there, because I'm lazy and I prefer to copy paste than to type things in there. So I'm just going to switch over, working with master pages. I think it's in here, and make it load a little bit. There you go, see 2, 4, etc. The margins, etc. We went through that. And here, yeah, it's asking you to do some step and repeat. So again, follow the lesson for all the details. I don't want to go over the whole thing quickly, but there you go. See, there you go. Type flora and fauna of the coastal Carolinas. So I can select that, click OK, and then we're going to recreate this setup right here. So I'm just going to go back into my document, paste in there. There's my text right there. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to make it a little smaller because I don't like 12-point types in the margin. It's massive. So what it's asking us right here is also to create a page marker and creating an M space. So I put my cursor right at the beginning of the line right here. I right-click in there, and I have my insert special characters, insert white space, etc. You have a lot of those little sub-menus in there. So the insert white space right here is an M space, right? But I want to first start with my marker, which is my current page number. So I want to start with that. So I go insert special character, markers, current page number, and there's the letter A that appears. It's not a number because we are, again, in the A master. So the A master reflects that, the A, I should say, letter reflects that we are in the A master. So that will be an automatically set up page numbering. Now right click again because I have my marker in between the page number and the text, and I'm going to white space and I create an M space, and an M space is just a wider space basically. And to make sure, to recognize what your characters are like, you can go under type, and at the bottom you go show hidden characters, and it shows you all those little blue highlights right in there. You can see that there's the hashtag is the end of my paragraph or end of my text. Those little dot in between, that's a regular space, and then dot with a bar on top, that's an M space, right? And if you have, for example, I'm just going to click in there, I'm just going to hit the tab key. The tab key is that double chevron like this, and then you have other characters in there that I'm not going to go over yet, but this is how you can show your hidden characters. So it's very useful when you're dealing with, oopsie, I have my characters set up. When you're setting up a document and you have some weird space going on, or a return that you shouldn't have and you can't tell what's going on, show your hidden characters and you'll be able to see what you're doing. So at this point you have this page marker right here, the M dash, and we're going to do the same thing on the right hand side on the bottom right. So I'm going to press and hold my Option key or Alt on the PC, and you can see the arrow doubles up, and that allows you to duplicate an object, and I'm going to snap it to those guides on the right hand side, and there it is. Change the alignment to the right hand side. By default it's always on the left. Go back in your control bar right here, align to the right, and there you have it. So we're going to switch over the page number and the M dash, the M space, I mean, to the right hand side. So what you can do is you can copy paste all that, or you can just go again in there, put your cursor at the end, right click, insert white space. This time we start with the M space, and then right click again, insert special character, marker, current page number, and just, you can delete those guys at the end. Zoom back out, make it fit. Now again, this is the master page. I'm going to switch back to my document right here, double click on any page in there, and you can see the page 2 appears. I'm going to hide those special characters. Page 3, page 4, page 5, etc. By default, it's automatic. You have your page marker, also known as a folio as well. That's in your master page right there. So another quick thing as well that they're asking you to do in this document is to insert a snippet, which is a very strange thing in Photoshop and in InDesign. I mean, you have to go into place. So you go into File and you hit Place, which is Command D or I believe Alt or Control D. I'm not sure. I never know which one it is for a PC, but Place right there, and you find your snippet within the folder that has all the support documents. So snippet 1 is, you can see it's at the very end there. It says snippet 1 IDMS. So InDesign something snippet. Click OK, and here now it's attached at the end of your cursor, as you can see, right? So there's like, what is this? So what you have to do is you have to click it. I believe you have to click it right out in the bleed right here, right in the corner, in the upper corner. You click there, and then boom, it's placed right there for you because it's kind of a preset that is set up for you. I am personally, I'm not a fan of that type of stuff because, as you can see, this one is higher, it has the bleed, this one does not, so you have to fix it manually, etc. So it takes very little time to, set it up properly, and in my opinion, that's not an easy. It's not any easier to use those snippets in this particular document, because as you can see now, it's slightly off. I mean, maybe I don't have the right measurements, I don't know, but I have to, manually fix things and place them back in the right spot. And so I'm not a big fan of that stuff. Anyways, because we have placeholder text now again, and then those blue objects right there, again, if you switch back to your page, your document right there, it's on every page in the document. And it has, oh yeah, I forgot, the snippet also created that flora and fauna little icon down there in the bottom right, bottom left of the right page, I mean. Those elements are, as you can see, I cannot select them because they are on the master page. So one of those things that is required in this exercise as well is to change the color. So you select one of the blue box in the background there, you open your swatches in there, and then you, I think, switch it to green, and it's just like that. It's lovely. And then again, in your document, now it is on every page. Another quick little thing, it's asking you to place some placeholder text and image frames. So to create a text frame is you use your type tool right here, you click and drag, and then there's your text frame right there. By default, that's your text frame. It's nothing really that crazy and difficult to do. The rectangle tool there with the X in the middle right there, that's your image frame. And again, same thing, you click and drag, snap it to your edges, and you can see the inside of the text has, or the image I should say, has that X in there, and it's a very fine dotted line because we are in the master. If we were in the regular document, I'm going to switch over to the document. You can see, you can barely see this little, this cross in the middle of that image frame. Again, dotted line because that tells me that it's in the master. Whereas if I go into the document itself right here, I create a new one, and you can see there's that X mark, much better, much easier than the very light one there. So another quick trick is, since you have that image frame in your master, you can also override those elements that you have in your master within your document. You have to, on a PC it is Shift Control, I believe. On a Mac is Shift Command, I believe, and click on it. So again, Shift Command allows you to click on an object that is locked, that is in your master, but here it allows you to unlock them. So again, that object right here that is an image frame that I cannot put an image in there, I can just, again, Shift Command or Shift Control, I believe, on the PC, click on it, and now it's unlocked, and now it is in the document. It's still in the master, as you can see, it's still there on the next page, but in this particular page, it's been unlocked, and I can play with it, move it around, change the size, add an image to it, etc. So the placeholder text needs to be changed to, let's see, switch back to my original document there, so I should say my reference document, not my original document. Egrets and herons. So I'm a little lazy, I'm not going to type it like this, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to paste it in there. Copy and paste. So I'm going to switch back and forth on our butterflies. And again, Shift Command or Shift Control, click on that, unlock the object that is in your master, triple click on your line, paste, and there you have the text, it's in place. So I'm thinking it's probably not the right measurements. I don't have the left and the right, or the inner, the outside margins, set up properly, because it's not exactly lining up in comparison to my final document right here. So again, I didn't do it properly, so don't do what I do, not what I say, or vice versa. Quickly also, it's asking you to place some text. Again, the text right here is in the master page, right? That needs to be unlocked. Actually, right here. So I'm just going to show you that quickly. Again, you can have that again in your master page. You can create your text frame in the master page, or you can just create right in here. And I'm just going to click and drag, snap it to my margins right here. I'm going to zoom in there. And instead of copying and pasting the text from that guy right there, this time I'm going to do it right. I'm going to place the text again. So I'm going to go into, again, File, Place, and then find my article, which is, I think it's this one. So if I press the space bar right there, ooh, I'm not sure if it's going to be visible. So anyways, I'm going to click OK, and there it is. Just like that. So you can place text, you can place images, and that text has already been formatted. It already has a title and paragraphs, etc. If I go into my panels right there on the right-hand side, I have my paragraph styles right here and my character styles. So if I click on paragraph styles right there, I can see that the body copy, no indent, is already a style that carried over from placing of the text, and heads, as in headers, or is already in there as well. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Click and drag. I think I can make a text frame a little smaller. Again, Command D is the shortcut, or Control D. And I'm going to click to article number 2, place it in, and then there it is. It's matching the exact same paragraph styles. So paragraph styles allow you to do this, right? So you have this paragraph that is the body copy. Let's say Amazing Migration. It's not the right paragraph style. I can click that, and automatically it switches over, right? Click it back on, and then it's turned on. So basically, it's kind of like automating a bunch of styles for you. These are some of the most important tools. It makes things a whole lot easier on your end. So this is how you start this document. Another thing that needs to be done in this particular exercise, again, you go under File, Place again, and then we'll place the second snippet. Remember the first one that was the my green and blue box up there. The second one is basically all of those images, and they've been basically preset for you. So it's nice of them, isn't it? You click on that, and it's loading. And here you have, as you can see, all the images are loaded to the tip of your cursor. I'm just going to zoom in quickly, and since I'm not exactly sure if I'm placing it in the right spot, I'm just going to click right here, right at the corner. And no, it went all the way down. So wrong way to place it. So I'm just going to drag it up again. So here I should have it. You can see it kind of lines up almost properly. I'm just going to zoom in. So I'm going to try to place that corner right there, right in the corner of my margin right here. So things should be snapping perfectly, but usually, as you can see, images are not exactly lined up, right? So you can see that there's a little bit of a gap there. They're not exactly the right width. So everything is slightly off. So that is, as a designer, this is your job. It's your mission to accept it. Of course, again, I don't have the margins set up properly in this document, so that's probably why it doesn't line up. But make sure that when you're creating a document, make sure that your images are lined up, because this tiny little gap right there is quite visible, actually. So the easiest and simplest things, I'm just going to zoom in and out a couple times there. You select all of those guys, you know, all the ones that are at the bottom, and you can use your align tool there in the master page right there. So I can just go align the top of the edges right there, so everything is lined up at the top. So now I know it's snapping. And then this guy right here is not the right height. As you can see, if I select this one with a little blue egg there, and I look at my measurements that I have the X and the Y axis, so the position of the object, but I also have the width and the height. And so the width is 13p8, and then the height is 13p11.5. And if I click on the one on the right-hand side there, measurements are different, right? So that allows me to tell, it tells me that something is a little off, right? So again, that is your job as a designer to make sure that things are lining up, the proper height, etc. So again, I don't have the right margins. They're not exactly in the right spot, and that's my bad because I didn't do it right. I agree. But I'm thinking also that this image right there should be bleeding off right there. Therefore, my margins should be matching where my images are. And that's not the case in this case because I didn't do the document properly. But that's just my quick demo. So this is how you start this document and start making things happen. And again, you make sure that when you have an image that comes to the edge of the paper, it bleeds off here. It passes the edge of the bleed. So it's slightly off. I don't have the right measurements. I didn't set it up properly. But make sure you snap things to your bleed right there. And you can switch back and forth in the preview of your document right there. This is your working normal preview, and you can switch back and forth to your preview right here. You can by just clicking on that or press and hold that. You have your preview, your bleed, your slug, or your presentation. So that allows you to switch back and forth between a presentation mode, which is like this. And you have to hit escape. But if you want just to switch over between your preview and your regular view, you can use those icons right here at the bottom of your tools right here, or you can make sure that you don't have anything selected. You can use the W key on your keyboard, and if I just click on that, it switches back and forth as well. So that's another cool little trick, is the W key on your keyboard, and it allows you to switch back and forth, and that's what I use that a lot. So again, so this is the start of this this assignment, and this is the start of all the assignments within InDesign. You have a file that is ready, not quite ready. That is your final file, and it should be used as a reference point only, not a starting point. You have to go through the lesson. You should go through the lessons, and then at the end of the lesson, which should get you to this point right here, you have a few other things to do, such as explore on your own again, read the outline, make sure you follow the ebook, and then the specific one actually is asking you to create a new page, a new master page, which you have already a parent and a child page basically in there, but create a new one, a 4-column layout, and then applying it within the document. And it's very easy to apply a new page in the master page. Is you literally just go and drag a page from your master right here, from your master palette of pages, and then you drag them over to whatever page you want to replace. As you can see, the highlight, so I'm just going to grab it right here and I'm just going to place it in there. So that's another, there you go, that's a better one. right there, because that's a B master, not the A master. You can see like I've switched it from the 3 to the 2 column layout because I have multiple master, and just by dragging that page over, switch it over. So part of the explore on your own is to create a new master, new set of masters with a 4 column, applying it within the document, as well as a few other things. So keep in mind that we are looking at those files carefully. We're looking at where things are, how things are lining up. If the document has a little bit of something that is a slightly little wonky, like I've just done, for example, that gives us a hint that you've done the lesson, but it's not 100% perfect, which is fine. But again, so make sure that you start the document from scratch. You will learn a whole lot more that way than cutting the corner and using the final document there, which should be used only, again, as a visual reference. Because you don't have to do it the exact same colors. You can change things, right? You can change the font. You can change, might as well. You can even change the order of the photographs if you want. And again, this is the end document, which gives us again a hint of things that have not been done properly. Again, in this document, is if you zoom in again, this is the snippet again. There's those images that we dropped in, and again, it's slightly off, as you can see that like little gap right there. So if you actually get to work on it yourself, you will fix those things for us. And again, same thing here. It bleeds off and slightly past the bleed edge. It's not a big deal, but that's what we are looking for, right? So that's how you start a document from scratch, basically. And this is easy because you have all those images that are placed in as a snippet for you. And you can see in your link palette right here, your link panel, they're all linked as in there are actual graphics, and you can go to it right there, and it highlights the actual graphic, which is this marsh right there. Quickly as well, every time you hover over an image frame right there, you can see that there's a target that appears, within the. Now, of course, I want to demonstrate that, and it doesn't show. You have a center target, so if you actually click on that target, you can see the hand that appears, and that will select the image within the frame. Here, there you go. Now there it is. Now there it is again. So if you click outside of the target, you're selecting the image frame, and you can move the whole image frame. If you select the image itself, you click on that target, and you can see the selection is much wider, and that is the image that I can, move up and down if I want to. If I press and hold, the whole image appears, and then I can move it up and down like this. So I have control of that as well. So I'm going to stop this recording. Again, keep an eye out on the instructions in your ebook. Make sure you follow them carefully, because you missed one thing, and that may trigger some other problems further down the road, such as messing up a master page or messing up a paragraph style, etc., etc. Watch the other tutorials within that playlist that we have on YouTube. I go over how to create master pages, but also how to create paragraph styles and character styles, and how to apply them and how to modify them, etc., etc. So all those tools are there for you to play with and to explore and learn. Enjoy.